The bloom after. Inara is a hardworking housewife. She loves her husband so much. At 5 a.m. every morning, she gets up, goes to the kitchen, prepares his breakfast, and then goes around doing house chores. The husband, Kevin, is a company owner, so he has his own company and he runs it. From the beginning of this movie, you notice that Inara was a very dutiful wife because she made sure that the husband had the food that he would eat even at work, so she would pack his lunch box for him. I noticed something very strange, however. When a wife is hardworking and is dutiful, the husband should at least show real appreciation. But I noticed a kind of coldness. Well, not really coldness, but some kind of distance. He wasn't as close to her as he was supposed to, and he wasn't as appreciative of her as he was supposed to. One would attribute this sometimes to maybe pressure at work or lack of funds. Maybe he was broke and maybe he had a lot on his mind. Well, he in the office was a totally different person. He was a very pleasant guy in the office, joking around with his staff. So one would understand if you're a Nigerian or an African man who doesn't talk to the wife at home but gets out of the house and is jovial with others outside. There's something off about that. And then there was one of these scenes in the movie where he got home and he did not go into the house immediately. Usually when you're going home, you kind of see home as a sanctuary, a place to go hide yourself. The moment a man or a woman is not finding joy in returning home, then we also know that is a red flag. So this movie kind of started with these red flags, and you'd get to ask yourself, why exactly is this guy hesitant to go home? Why is he not warm towards his wife? And then we also noticed that he wasn't having sex with a wife. Well, that is not totally abnormal, especially if he has a lot on his mind. So we can let that slide. Maybe it was just a temporary thing, right? And then the story went on. One of these days, the wife's friend came in, Mena. Now, the moment you set your eyes on Mena, Mena is just a complete crazy person. This friend you have that doesn't seem to have any worries in the world, no problems whatsoever. And immediately I saw Mena come into the movie, I knew that she was going to bring some kind of crazy spin to it. Now, stay with us and you'll understand the influence that Mena had. So apparently they were best of friends, okay? The main lady here, Inara, has been married for a while. She and her husband got married when they were very young. She was 19, so she's been in marriage for long. The children are no longer in the house, they're all in school. Okay, now this new friend Mena comes, and Mena just got divorced, to the shock and surprise of Inara. And when Nara asked her why she got divorced, she said the man lied and everything he had belonged to his ex-wife. But she didn't seem fazed about it. She was drinking and happy, and she was just this happy-go-lucky person. And then when she heard that Nara wanted to go drop food for the husband at work, she was like, why would you do that, man? Who still does that? But they went together all the same. The receptionist was just being really bitchy. She wasn't nice. It was apparent that the husband had some things doing with the receptionist, but we'll get to know about that later. He was on a phone call when they got into his office, and he didn't seem pleased to see her. He was already being really irritating until the friend Mena came in, and then he changed his look and he seemed a bit pleasant. Well, she walked out. And after they left, surprising, the guy started behaving like a kid. He continued the call he was making before they walked in, and immediately they left. He continued with that call and was being really childish, being like a guy who has someone holding his balls. He just started acting really weird. Like, yeah, there was someone who was fingering his brain at the other side of the call. So the red flag now goes full circle, and we know that there is something off. That thing that is off is what we're going to know. Well, the friend Mena was telling her friend Inara to open her eyes that there was something off, but Inara trusted her husband and she didn't believe he would be that way. Um, you know the way it is usually when you see these red flags and you don't take the red flags seriously because it doesn't seem to be a thing at that point in time. And then the anniversary was coming up. Inara was preparing for the anniversary. The husband apparently didn't even remember there was an anniversary because, well, maybe he had a lot on his mind. But by now, we do understand that, well, there was actually something on his mind, something that we are beginning to suspect. But let us see exactly what it was that was on his mind. So Mena, of course, jumps in and decides to help her friend Inara to choose what to wear for their anniversary. And she chose a nice dress. When Kevin came home, he saw the whole house set up and she was wearing the nice dress. And you would not believe that it was on this night of all nights that he decided to tell her that he was getting out of the marriage, that he was not doing again, as we would say in Africa. He was saying that was all and that he was calling it quits and that the marriage was over. Of course, expectedly, Inara was devastated and she wanted to understand why he would just say that and leave her after all these years. They spent their childhood together basically, and she had never known any man before him. She didn't know any man while they were married, and she needed an explanation. So, of course, she called a crazy friend, Mena, who was so happy to be helpful. Mena came and they both went to Kevin's office. They got in there and they saw Kevin rigmaroling and squeezing a very luscious chick. And that was when it occurred to both of them, Mena and Inara, that was actually what was going on. He was seeing someone else and he was actually making out with that someone else in his office when they walked in. And the scene was really ridiculous. It was that guilty man acting guilty as hell. It was Mena laughing her head off, saying, I knew you were a snake, you idiot. And it was Inara just being totally devastated. Now, from this point on in the movie, it's obvious that the guy had moved on. She was lucky to have Mena as support, even though, of course, people like Mena would tend to push you to do things you don't want to do. So you begin to think about things you shouldn't be thinking about. You think about sleeping with just anybody. You think about revenge. You think about so many things. But after a while, after mourning, if I may use that word, after mourning and crying, she decided that she needed clarity. She needed to discover herself, and she started taking care of herself more. She started focusing on her and her alone. She started making up better. She started dressing better, and she started believing in herself. Mena got her involved she got her on some dating app and helped her to get dating appointments. Some she totally hated, but she met this guy, Kachi, who liked her, but it wasn't during the dating session thing. He saw her when she came to wait for her date, and she blew him away thinking he was the waiter. She didn't know he was the owner of the place, but he liked her. And instead of giving him her credit card to be billed while she was there in the restaurant where she was waiting for her date, she gave him her driver's license instead without knowing. So she got home, and one day she also saw this guy that came to the door and said he came to return her driver's license. He used the driver's license to track the house and got there, and he had to come out clean. Listen, I like you, right? I just came to tell you I like you. I was hoping we could go out on a date. And of course, Mena was so elated. This is exactly what she wanted for her friend. Long story short, they started something and it got really serious. It's just that she did not want sex with Kachi. She said it reminded her of sex with her husband, Kevin, and that she had not been with any other man. In fact, when they tried to have sex, she broke it up midway, and it was really embarrassing for her. She didn't know how to apologize to him. She didn't know how to see him again, and she thought he would never want to see her again. But Kachi didn't mind because he just loved her for her, and he came to look for her, and they talked it out, and he told her he would not force her to have sex if she didn't want to have sex, and that made her relax much more around him. In fact, she moved in with him, spent some time with him, and they really didn't have sex. I mean, do you think this is even possible, guys? A man with blood flowing through his veins, a woman who is well endowed, in the same room, on the same bed, cuddling together, no sex. Yeah, I know there are situations where it doesn't happen. It's not everyone who does that, and I'm sure if people want to abstain from it, they would, right? But tell me what your thoughts are and if this actually makes sense to you. Somewhere along the way, along comes her husband again, the crazy Kelvin guy who was cheating on the wife, and he called her on the phone, and she didn't even hesitate. She ran back home. She said it was something that could be salvaged if she could salvage it, despite the fact that she was having something really good and real going on with Kachi. And then, spoiler alert, she already had sex with him because she got so comfortable with him. They had sex just before that call came in. So that was that. Then she got home, and Kelvin, her husband, was, saying he needed her help in bringing him back to full health, that he had ulcer, he had not been eating well, and that things were not going really good, and he needed care. And it was really irritating when I saw that scene, because I was like, dude, this lady was taking care of you. She was feeding you, like she was preparing your food. You didn't have any problem with food before you told her you were no longer interested in the marriage. You never had ulcer, right? And then you now come back and say you have ulcer. So apparently you've not been eating right. You think she's not important. Well, she is important. But what really got to me was not the fact that he had ulcer. What got to me was the fact that he started acting like a baby, and then started acting really entitled. And when there were things he wasn't particularly comfortable with about the food, he would express himself bluntly, while telling her that she was supposed to make sure his food was good at all times and stuff like that. It was just really irritating. And I, as a man, could not imagine why another man would be doing that. Maybe this is a script. If there are guys who behave this way, then I think that's really disappointing. You need to watch the full movie to really understand this. But what happened at the end of the day was that the wife got to find out the reason he came back home. And that really ticked her off. It was a great movie all in all. Because I don't want to destroy everything about the movie, and you really need to know what that ending was like, you need to go watch the movie yourself and have all the fun you can while watching it, because there were some very memorable parts, there were very funny parts there, and there was some very unbelievable parts to the movie. But if you need to see what happened, how she took the information she got about why he came back home and what she did afterwards, and if she ended up with Kachi or not. You would have to watch the full movie. It's not a bad watch. It's a great movie. I think it's something that you really need to go watch. If I'm going to rate it, I'm going to rate it 6.5 out of 10. I'm not saying they didn't do a good job. They did a pretty good job. I like the story. I love the story, and I love how it ended. I love the curveball that was thrown in the movie, and I also love the fact that I could follow the storyline and I could ask myself psychological questions as to the reason this was done, the reason that was said, and if people truly are like this or not. If you have any comments about if this is how a man should treat his wife, let me know. And if you were a woman and a man was treating you like this, would you take it? Would you bear? I know we'll bring religion into this every now and then, but I mean, is this something you would bear until things blow over or not? And if you are Kachi that she left after the husband called, if she comes back, would you take her back? And ladies, would you actually go back to this guy who you just ran away from because the person who was maltreating you before, who was your husband, called? Would you do that to someone who has been really good to you in the absence of your husband? Or would we say that Kachitu was taking advantage of the fact that she was a lonely woman who needed a man, and well, he was looking for a woman? Do you think that he was taking advantage of her? Do you think his love for her was real? Do you think that she was behaving irrationally and looking for a rebound relationship? Let me know what you think in the comment section. If you want more stories like this, please subscribe to this channel because we'll be bringing you honest reviews of movies. To be clear, you would have to watch the full movie itself to know what really happened. But all in all, I think it's a movie that you need to watch. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you on the next one. Bye.